Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchel with Kinchel Law, and today's video is going to be a little bit shorter. We're going to do a little bit differently today. Instead of giving you a legal tip, I'm just going to give you a general tip. I'm recording this video on Wednesday evening on January the 6th, and it's the same day as the insurrection in our state capitol. I've been monitoring the footage with my children who were kind of sitting back but kind of observing some of the things that were going on. They had some questions, they definitely had some comments, and it reminded me that what we need to make sure that we're doing is that we're checking in with our children. That as they're kind of seeing these things, and sometimes it's not just by us watching it on the news, they are getting this information on their cell phones from their friends. Sometimes those conversations are even coming up in class. So as a parent, you want to make sure that you are always communicating, kind of looking at the way that the information is coming into them and helping them to make sense of it all. So I wanted to do this video today to remind you and give you a couple of tips and a great resource for making sure that you're checking in with your kids, especially if you're co-parenting between two households, because that can make it a little bit more difficult to spot issues with your children, to know when something may be a bigger issue that you need to deal with, or maybe it's just normal growing up that your child is going through. In a podcast episode on the A House Divided podcast, which is my law firm's family law podcast, I spoke to Janae Johnson, who is a therapist who works primarily with teenage girls, but her advice was good for boys as well. And some of the things that Janae mentioned was kind of being able to see when there's differences in the way that your child is behaving, their eating habits, the way that they socialize with friends, if they were more outgoing and now they're a little bit more reserved. If a friend that they used to have is no longer coming around or no longer calling, if they seem to stay in their room a lot more than they used to, or even if they are exhibiting other types of behavior. Maybe they are going out a lot more, maybe their diets have changed. She gives a lot of different things that we can kind of pay a little bit more attention to as parents when our children aren't being as verbal with us about what may be going on in their lives. And I think now, with children not being able to get out as much because of COVID, they're not able to see their friends, they're not able to have those social interactions. A lot more of the communications are virtual. And some children were already struggling with that, with bullying online, or even being comfortable with being on video for classes. So there's a lot of new stressors that are in their lives just due to COVID. Now you add on what they may be able to see that's going on politically, and that might give them a little bit more angst. So you really want to make sure that you're communicating with your kids, that you're paying attention to their actions, which is a hard thing to do, right? We're all trying to just kind of keep going, trying to keep ourselves safe and healthy and earn a living. And sometimes those things can get past us. And if your child is kind of like my teenagers and they don't always say when something's going on, it can be really, really hard to spot. And then, like I said, you add on top of this that you have children that are going back and forth between two homes. It can be really easy to miss bigger issues. So I'm going to put a link to the show in the show notes to Janae's episode on the A House Divided podcast. So you can check out her tips and reach out to her if you're in the area, if you want to get some more questions answered. She has a wonderful book, a great resource for teenage girls. Again, a lot of the things work well for boys as well. I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you guys are giving yourselves a lot of grace, that you're loving one another, that you're being there for one another. Again, just make sure that you're taking the time to talk to your kids, see where they are, but also just pay attention to those nonverbal cues to make sure they're doing okay. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the House Divided podcast episode that we're going to link to in the show notes. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. All right. Bye.